How can you spot high-paying or low-paying clients? Coming up. Hello and welcome back to the Freelanceverse. Thank you for coming back to the channel. Saturday morning, bright and early, 8:30 a.m. It has been a crazy couple of weeks, both professionally and personally. So much happened, so much traveled, etc. I even didn't have time to film ahead, so I'm actually making this video very last minute on the weekend before it goes out. But on the bright side, as a freelancer, if you work a lot, sometimes too much, at least you have the benefit of a nice revenue coming in, right? So you don't just work over hours for nothing. When you put more effort in, more comes back. The first couple of months of the year have been very lucrative for me, and that is mainly because of the type of clients I work with. So today's video is all about that. I'm going to tackle a quite sensitive topic, so apologize if I step on a few people's toes, but I want to address the issue or the situation with high-paying clients versus low-paying clients. How can you spot them? How can you avoid them? What are the red flags, etc.? Now, I know this is a very delicate subject, so just know that I'm just sharing my opinion, my views that I've learned over the years. Take it with a grain of salt. I hope it helps you a bit finding out, your own spot in the industry. Now, one thing I want to mention straight away is that I feel like there is kind of a bias, kind of a distortion of reality happening online, because it looks like, for some people, it looks like there are only lowballing offers out there, right? And only very crappy paid offers. Now, that is not the case, but I can see how it can look like that, because the good paying clients, the good agencies, the direct clients, they don't advertise on pages where the lowballing offers advertise on, right? So sometimes it can look like there is only this crappy offers out there. It's not the case, because the good paying agencies, there are, by the way, good boutique paying agencies that focus on quality. They usually reach out to freelancers directly that they want to work with, or they work based on recommendations. So that's why it can look like it's only bad offers out there, but it's really not. Generally speaking, in the Eastern European countries, if we look at Europe, or generally in the eastern part of the world, it seems that the rates seem to be lower than average. There are a couple of reasons for that. Mainly it's because the average salary is lower, the cost of living, etc. And subsequently, in many parts of the world, you cannot make a living with freelancing, with freelance translation. Now, this seems strange for me, just at face value, because we have a global job, right? We are not bound to any country's borders, any limits. You can work with anyone in the world, and yet so many freelance translators are struggling with local issues. Just logically speaking, just objectively, I know there are other factors, but just logically speaking, it shouldn't matter whether you live in Delhi or in New York. You should be able to work with the same people and make the same money, right? Now, of course, subjectively, this is not the case, right? But just logically, if you think about it, it should be the case. So I got curious. So why is this? Why isn't it the case? Can I find a couple of reasons? So I wanted to explore this issue a bit further. In addition, later in the video, I want to show you, based on a couple of job postings on Probst.com, how you can spot low-paying or high-paying clients. There are a couple of red flags that you should know when you're looking for jobs, so you can even just discard them even without trying. So I want to share them with you. But first, let's look at the average rates across Europe to get kind of an idea where we stand. Now, please be advised that I'm just using this as an average to compare across countries for this video. This list on pros with average rates doesn't mean that you should adhere to them. Actually, when I check English to German, I'm curious now. We have an average of 11 cents per word and a minimum of 8 cents per word. It's actually nice. It's more than I expected it would say here. An average of 11 is not bad as an average. For me, it's rather the minimum. I think the minimum should be at 10, but it's okay. It's better than I expected, but just make sure to not just look at this rate and think, okay, I need to charge 11 or I need to charge 8 if I'm a beginner. Not at all. These are just indications of what other people charge, because this is based on 9,500 people giving their advice, and out of that, an average of 11 cents per word came out. So let's look at another European language that is strictly European. I don't want to look French or Spanish because then it gets diluted with other continents and it's bad for comparison. So let's look Norwegian, for example. It's probably going to be higher, 12 cents per word. Okay, it's relatively stable, or although only 600 people participated, minimum of 10. That's basically what I would say for English to German as well. If you're a beginner, start with 10 minimum, never go under 10, and that's a good indication. Let's look Italian. Let's go from north to south to see if there is a difference. It's probably, let me guess, I would say 8 cents. 9 cents per word average. It makes sense that it's a bit lower because it makes sense. Based on my assumptions that I talk about later, it makes sense that it's lower because the income is lower in Italy than in Norway, right? Now let's look. Icelandic is probably the highest in Europe, I would say, like 15 cents. Very nice, okay. Let's look at Croatian maybe. 9, okay, they're all relatively stable, although the minimum for Croatian is 6, that is extremely low. Let's look Albanian maybe, it's the same. What about Romanian? That could be the lowest one maybe. 9 and 6 as well. Ukrainian 9 and 6 as well. So mostly in the East it's roughly 2 to 3 cents lower than in the West of Europe, right? Now you might say that's actually not that much of a difference. It's true, it's less of a difference than I thought, but still if you look at a big job or if you look at the daily average, of course it matters a lot if you have 3 cents less per word. Let's compare this. Let's take the 6 cent minimum for Croatian. So if a Croatian translator starts, goes on Probst, looks at the minimum, thinks, okay, at the beginning I probably should charge minimum, let's go with 6 cents. If you can translate let's say 3,000 words a day, which is a nice average, it's already quite a lot, times 6 cents, then we have 180 euros a day. If you divide this by 8 hours, let's say, you have 22 euros per hour, 22.5 euros per hour. Now this is exactly where the key point comes in. You might be watching this and saying, oh, actually that's a really good hourly rate where I'm from. And that is the number one reason why lowballing offers exist. People's subjective biases. That is the reason. When I did research for this video, I saw a Quora question. Why do freelancers settle for so lowballing rates? And someone actually, the top comment said, I know it can be tough, but I'm telling you it can get better. I'm actually charging now $20 per hour, as saying like this is a huge thing. It's really not. And I'm saying that with respect. You might have grown up in a country where the average salary is, 500 euro, 900 euro, something really relatively low compared to other European countries. So if you hear $20 or $22.50 per hour, that sounds like a big thing, right? That sounds like it's a lot of money. That's 180 euros per day. That's roughly 900 euros per week. So over 3K per month, right? That's huge for some people. Just that it's not true, right? You have to know that this is not true. First of all, it's not possible that you work 8 hours a day on a paid basis as a freelancer. Probably more like 4 to 5 hours are going to be paid. The rest you either have no work or you're doing admin stuff, marketing, etc., things that are not paid. So being paid for your entire workday, assuming you can work 8 hours, that's another thing, is unrealistic. Then you also have taxes, social security, etc. So these 22.50 per hour are actually not over 3K a month. In the end, it's more like 900 to 1,000 a month, right? The average salary of the country that you grew up in. Now, you might still say, okay, at least I get the average salary. That's still great. But that's the second point as well. You have to forget everything you know, everything you learned growing up about average salaries in your country. Average salary in your country is not the benchmark you want to orient yourself on as a business owner. Otherwise, you can just go get a job and get average salary. It's going to be much easier. You're going to be happier. I can tell you that. Forget about that. You're not working for an average salary. You're working for a revenue for your business. So you need to release yourself from this straitjacket that you were put on as a kid already growing up. You hear this salary, you hear like this is what people's time is worth, etc. Average salary is a man-made construct that has no relevancy, right? It's just arbitrary. So you don't need to focus on that. It's nice to look at the benchmark, but really try to go above that because you studied for that, right? And if you haven't studied, then at least you're doing some form of studying, some form of further education to get to this level. So you want to be a skilled worker, you don't want to do the average salary work. So ask yourself what you want to earn, what you think your time is actually worth, rather than what you need to earn. So let's say you want to earn $60 an hour, divided by 500 words roughly you can translate per hour. That's 12 cents per word. That's an okay rate for agencies, definitely. And then you can go up from there. And for direct clients, you can charge 16, 18, 20, 22 cents per word. That's when you can get into the nice hourly rates of 80, 100, above 100 euros per hour. So even if all this video gives you is kind of a feel of the rates, you know, because so many rates are thrown out there that it's so confusing. I recently got a message from a subscriber that said he wrote 0.3 USD is a low rate, right? Now, I asked him, do you really mean 0.3 USD? Because that will be 30 cents per word. Or do you mean 0.03, which is 3 cents, which is more likely what he meant, right? Because based on whichever you mean, I'm going to give you a very different answer. 30 cents would be an extraordinary rate, 3 cents would be a lowballing offer. So even just the format, how do you write with a client? If you write to a client 0.3 USD per word, they might not give you the project just because they think that's insanely expensive. Know that 0.03 is actually 3 cents. Rather just write 3 cents without the 0.0. That doesn't, it's not needed. I always just write, 14 cents, 16 cents, 20 cents, whatever, without the 0 point, to make it extremely clear what I actually mean. Plus, then there's the whole other topic that I will make a video about it once, that we should really move away from the word rate and go rather to the hourly rate, because it can matter so much depending on what kind of text it is, what kind of translation, what kind of tasks, how long it will take. So the per word rate is rather outdated. But now we talk about this, so let's focus on this for this video. A couple of reasons why do these lowballing offers exist and why do we keep seeing them. Number one reason, someone is accepting those rates. That's the only reason that in the end that they are there. Well, next to the other reasons that come in a second, but it's the number one reason. If no one accepted them, they wouldn't be there, right? So someone is always there accepting them. And actually, especially with German, I can only speak of that because that's what I'm seeing. When I look at these gig websites where people sometimes publicly bid on something, right? If there is a job, a German translation, and you can publicly bid and then people are just underbidding, that's a race to the bottom. A lot of these bids are actually not from Germany, not from a German-speaking country, not even from Europe, right? So you're even with a European language, you're competing with people from outside of Europe, which is why these gig websites are not the way to go, and that's why I'm not promoting them anymore, because it's not a good sustainable business model. You can do that if you just do it as a gig on the side, but not as a business. It's not sustainable in the slightest. So one thing you can do is stop accepting the rates, but of course that's easier said than done because you need to find better rates. So, which leads me to the second problem, is the permission paradox. I made a whole video on that. You can click here if you want. It's basically the people demand experience, but they don't want to give you experience if you don't have it. So how can you get experience in the first place? It's a whole problem. You have to deal with that yourself. You have to build a portfolio based on volunteering work, based on friends, family, etc. It is possible. You can gain experience without having jobs. I outlined everything in this video. So if you have time before you start and you're not fully under time pressure, you don't need to make money immediately, it's definitely worth building a good portfolio before you start. Next reason why these exist, huge LSPs have the luxury to exploit small freelancers. LSPs are language service providers, the biggest ones in the world, offer the most volume, of course. And most people want to work with them because their names are so popular, which means they don't and they don't really have that high quality standards, let's say, so they can really exploit, right? They just say, if you don't accept my offer, someone else is going to accept it either way. So they can basically go down to the bottom as far as they want, because someone will accept the offer, as I said in number 1. The last reason I wrote here is just not restricted to our industry. It's a general problem. Capitalism, I guess. You just want to make more profit. Profit is more important than quality for a lot of companies. Not for all of them. So it's really important that you find the boutique agencies, the boutique direct clients. It's very hard to do so. But over time, if you really give yourself years to work on your business, it will happen eventually. It's just basically works almost like 80 to 90% works through recommendation. All my latest new clients I found by someone recommending myself, even sometimes people that I don't even know. They just watch the videos, or they just heard that I'm a Swiss German, and the client asks them, hey, do you also offer Swiss German? They say no, but I know someone who does. So networking, putting yourself out there, passive content marketing can down the line lead to better paying clients. I mentioned in the beginning that it's probably normal if you're just starting out that you charge lower rates, and that's fine, I guess, but also be aware that it's very hard to increase your rates afterwards, right? So if you want to find a client that you want to work long-term with them, you should already start at a decent level, because it's hard to raise the rates afterwards. You can always discard the client, find a new one that pays better. I've done that. I work with one client since the beginning. Everyone else is new, because you just level up, you gain experience, you become better, etc. So you find better clients. But just, this imposter syndrome that you feel in the beginning, I completely understand, but don't just charge lower rates because you feel you're not adequate enough. Rather train so you feel adequate enough so you can charge good from the beginning. Be selective, work only with clients that you appreciate, that appreciate you. Charge what you want to earn, charge what you feel your value is, the value for your time. Stay away from places where millions of translators gather and race for the bottom. That's not going to be sustainable. Surround yourself with successful freelancers, successful translators that can teach you, that can give you jobs in the future, and offer the complete package rather than just translation or just proofreading. Offer a whole language ecosystem to the client so they can't refuse and they can't even question your worth, because you do everything for them, right? You're a language consultant, so I'm offering them, like, if you're actually a language worker, you're simply in the office worker role, in the factory worker role, so you can very easily be replaced by someone else. But if you are working as a language consultant, you are the expert, you're selling your service as a whole, and that's when you can charge much more. That is kind of the growth mindset that a lot of freelancers are lacking. We see ourselves as kind of the little guys or girls in the industry. We don't have a lot of say, we don't have a lot of impact, but this switch in mindset from underselling yourself to a growth mindset can be huge, right? If you realize that this industry only works because of us, you become much more in the driver's seat, and you can develop a growth mindset. If you see successes coming in, it will just build upon each other. It's easier said than done, I know, and I'm not really sure how to teach. I would love to teach all of you how this works, but sometimes it's also just luck. I mean, some of my best clients now that I just found out of luck. I was recommended, I replied to an email, I replied to a message, and somehow through one way or the other, it just works out. I can't guarantee that it will work out for you, but I want to give you as much value and as much insight from my life as possible. Okay, now for the second part of the video, I'm going to go on Probst. This is not planned, so I hope this will work out. I want to find at least one, if not two, job offers that I can immediately tell you that this client will pay peanuts. They will not pay well. And hopefully I find one that is looking good and like I would apply myself, because I think that they are valuing the quality and they will pay more. So let's see how that goes. Everything just fell apart. Okay, it really didn't take long to find quite a lot of interesting projects, both good and bad. I haven't been on the job search on Probst for a while, so it was actually cool to look around. Okay, so here are a couple of red flags that I will tell you right away. Now this one, first of all, you see an average Blueboard rating 3 out of 5. This is horrible. Under 4, I will never work with anyone, so that I will immediately close. Another red flag here is if companies require, that's not always a true red flag, but it is a warning. If they require many different languages. So this job posting wants French, German, Portuguese, Russian, and Spanish. I had another one here that requires Turkish, Catalan, German, Hungarian, Bosnian, Swahili, Japanese, all kinds of different languages. That is always a bit of a red flag for me because it's not a specific translation job, so it's just a pool, right? Now this one, for example, subtitles needed. Those interested, mail resume to Kunal Mohan at primefocus.com. I don't know Prime Focus, they have a decent rating, but this headline, subtitles needed, those interested, email me, is not a professional headline for me for a job posting. And then this one, greetings from Prime Focus. We look for freelance translators in the different languages. Must have experience in translation. That's all it says basically. So no information about the project, just the languages, a bunch of pool languages, and you just send an email to them. It's weird. I thought I can explain better what I mean by that, but I just know that this customer will not pay well. And this is not any shade against Prime Focus. I don't know them, but I just assume it. So if you want, you can of course reach out to them and see if I was right or not. But this is a typical project that will probably pay, especially with subtitling, captioning. I don't know, maybe they pay like $1 per video minute or something crazy. With the same one goes with this, that has a bunch of languages. Not only that, also a bunch of services required. Like, how can a job posting be about translation, checking, editing, interpreting, consecutive interpreting? That just sounds like a scam, right? We are looking for professional freelance translators familiar with video game translation. You need to have a native proficiency. Of course, if you apply for a translation job, of course you're going to have a native proficiency. So if someone writes that, that's always a bit weird for me. There will be one test before task. The test is around 200 words. Okay, and it's from China, which is always not the best paying country. Sorry about that, it's just a fact. India, China, Bangladesh, Pakistan, all of these language service providers where there are many, and they always offer all the different languages. They usually pay 1-2 cents, if even, per word. Here's a good example that doesn't have any red flags, if you ask me. So this is something I would actually apply for, and maybe I will. It's clearly stating what they need. They look for an English to German translator for crypto projects. So it's a one language project, and it already states the area of specialization. They have a 4.9 rating, which is very good. They are from Singapore, which is a country with a high standard of living. They already say that the rates will be good. Whatever that means, I don't know. But if they mention that already means that they want to distinguish themselves a bit from the lowballing offers. They want STL experience. They want financial background. They want experience in crypto. So it's all very reliable, very reasonable. We welcome freelancers from any location, look forward to establishing a long-term collaboration. So this seems like a very nice posting. It might still have lower rates than I'm used to because it's from Singapore, but I could imagine that this is a decently paid job. I try to give you another example. This one, English to Swiss German, marketing and e-commerce, around 10 to 1,000 words. So it's highly confidential, they say, and it's very clear what they need. They don't have any ratings because it's not an agency. It's actually a Probst Business Plus member. So it's a Pros member themselves that needs a translation. So same as before, very to the point, not overly dramatic. It's a nice post. The same goes with this one, English to Swiss German, Swiss French, Swiss Italian, content for a survey, Canadian-based agencies. And then another bad example would be something like this, expanding resource database for machine post editing. So nothing specific, even though they say highly confidential. I doubt that. They look for many different languages. That's not even all. We're currently looking for translators to join us for projects involving MTPE. If you're interested, share your details. That's basically it. It's in India. They want to pay via PayPal, so it doesn't seem like a serious offer, and they will most likely not pay more than 3 cents per word. I thought I can articulate myself better than this, but I hope you get what I mean with a couple of red flags. You can always reach out to me if you see a job posting and you're not sure whether if it's good or not. You can just send me the link and I check it and tell you my opinion of it, or just, reach out to them and maybe you lose a couple of I don't know, maybe half an hour of work, but at least you know more. And through the years, but with time, you will learn yourself which ones are more worth it, which ones are not. Hopefully by a couple of years from now, you can completely get off pros and only work with networking and recommendations. That's the goal. And then your prices will automatically go up drastically. I hope this video was useful to you and insightful, and I hope I get this done by Monday, but if you're watching this, I have, so don't worry about that. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. I recently saw in my statistics that 70% of the people watching are not subscribed, so if you could subscribe, it would help out a lot. I'm so close to 30,000 subscribers, and I'm planning a little surprise for all of you for 30,000, so make sure we get there as soon as possible. Take care. I see you next Monday with the next video, and bye-bye.